Song of Solomon 6:4 through 8:14. Devotional focus verse. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. If a man would give all the substance of his house for love, it would utterly be contemned. Song of Solomon 8:7. Many years ago, in a Newfoundland fishing settlement with less than 100 people, God called a man named Noah to minister in the little church there. His assistant was a young woman named Rachel. During the course of time, as the two of them worked for the Lord together and prayed about their future, they felt the Lord's approval for them to be joined in marriage. They became husband and wife, and for more than 40 years they labored together in God's service. Love is nourished with kind words and actions, and Noah and Rachel made those behaviors a part of their life together. Noah always addressed Rachel as honey, and in turn she called him lover. Over the years, they became so close to each other that they could almost read each other's minds and anticipate each other's actions. When honey was sick, lover tenderly cared for her. Nothing had to be said aloud. It seemed they had a secret language of love that others did not understand. Noah and Rachel grew old, but their love for each other did not diminish or become commonplace. As the Shulamite maiden stated in today's focus verse, many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. And Noah and Rachel certainly proved that to be true. One morning, the Lord suddenly called Noah to his heavenly reward. For the next 8 years, Rachel lived with good, caring friends, but she longed to depart this world. One day she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. When she was given the doctor's report, she rejoiced and said, "I'm going home soon to be with Jesus, and I will see lover again." Her heart's desire was granted just a short time later. Though commitment, selfless devotion, and fidelity in marriage are becoming increasingly rare in our day, these are still God's plan. Over the years, our bodies change and we get old, but the husband and wife who demonstrate and express their love for each other will find their relationship continues to grow. Like a well-tended garden, it will thrive and blossom. No trial or adversity, even those which would seem overwhelming, can destroy love when it is pure and faithful. Background information. This portion of text describes Solomon's third visit and final proposal to the Shulamite maiden, her refusal of his invitation and declaration of fidelity toward her shepherd, and the eventual reunion between the Shulamite and her beloved. In chapter 6, the king approached the Shulamite maiden for the third time with complimentary words and expressions of devotion, trying once more to win her affection. When Solomon stated in verse 4, "Thou art beautiful, O my love, as Tirzah," he was referring to a city about 35 miles northeast of Jerusalem in the maiden's homeland. The city was remarkably beautiful and pleasantly situated. In fact, its name signifies beautiful or delightful. Her response must have been cool because in verse 5 the king, seemingly disconcerted, requested that the young woman turn away her eyes, which may have been flashing with anger or disdain. However, being accustomed to getting what he desired, he renewed his pursuit in verses 6 through 8, promising the Shulamite maiden a unique position among his many wives and concubines. She refused once more, reflecting back on her unwilling detention by the servants of the king. In chapter 7, verses 1 through 5, the palace women attempted to intercede on behalf of the king, proclaiming the Shulamite's beauty with a description of her form from foot to head. The imagery of a lover caught in the strands of hair of his beloved was a common figure in Eastern poetry of that era. See verse 5. Solomon's final, impassioned approach to the maiden is recorded in verses 6 through 9. Once again, the Shulamite rejected his advances. In the remainder of chapter 7 and the first 4 verses of chapter 8, she declared her devotion and fidelity to her beloved shepherd, perhaps in an attempt to tactfully cool the king's ardor. Verses 5 through 14 of chapter 8 provide the closing scene of the Song of Solomon. Verse 5 describes the Shulamite as leaning upon her beloved, having been reunited at last with her shepherd. Passing by the spot where their love had first sprung into being, the young man commented that the Shulamite was also born at that spot. Giving birth outdoors was not uncommon at that time. The maiden responded by poetically describing some of the significant characteristics of love. Verses 8 through 9 may have been an interruption by the Shulamite's older brothers. Seemingly regarding their sister as being too immature for marriage, they declared that they would protect and insulate her from unworthy lovers. However, the maiden asserted that her recent experiences were proof of both her faithfulness and maturity. The book closes with the triumph of true love. The Shulamite proclaimed her delight at being free from Solomon's vineyard and summoned her beloved shepherd with words that perhaps were a fragment of a song that she had formerly sung to him. Conclusion: a marriage should be like a garden that is carefully cultivated and thoroughly enjoyed.
Song of Solomon. Chapter 6. Thou art beautiful, O my love, as Tirzah, comely as Jerusalem, terrible as an army with banners. Turn away thine eyes from me, for they have overcome me. Thy hair is as a flock of goats that appear from Gilead. Thy teeth are as a flock of sheep which go up from the washing, whereof every one beareth twins, and there is not one barren among them. As a piece of a pomegranate are thy temples within thy locks. There are 80 queens, and 80 concubines, and virgins without number. My dove, my undefiled is but one, she is the only one of her mother, she is the choice one of her that bare her. The daughters saw her, and blessed her, yea, the queens and the concubines, and they praised her. Who is she that looketh forth as the morning, fair as the moon, clear as the sun, and terrible as an army with banners? I went down into the garden of nuts to see the fruits of the valley, and to see whether the vine flourished and the pomegranates budded. Or ever I was aware, my soul made me like the chariots of Amminadab. Return, return, O Shulamite, return, return, that we may look upon thee. What will ye see in the Shulamite? As it were the company of 2 armies. Song of Solomon. Chapter 7. How beautiful are thy feet with shoes, O prince's daughter! The joints of thy thighs are like jewels, the work of the hands of a cunning workman. Thy navel is like a round goblet, which wanteth not liquor, thy belly is like an heap of wheat set about with lilies. Thy 2 breasts are like 2 young roes that are twins. Thy neck is as a tower of ivory, thine eyes like the fishpools in Heshbon, by the gate of Bath-rabbim, thy nose is as the tower of Lebanon which looketh toward Damascus. Thine head upon thee is like Carmel, and the hair of thine head like purple, the king is held in the galleries. How fair and how pleasant art thou, O love, for delights! This thy stature is like to a palm tree, and thy breasts to clusters of grapes. I said, I will go up to the palm tree, I will take hold of the boughs thereof. Now also thy breasts shall be as clusters of the vine, and the smell of thy nose like apples. And the roof of thy mouth like the best wine for my beloved, that goeth down sweetly, causing the lips of those that are asleep to speak. I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. Come, my beloved, let us go forth into the field, let us lodge in the villages. Let us get up early to the vineyards, let us see if the vine flourish, whether the tender grape appear, and the pomegranates bud forth, there will I give thee my loves. The mandrakes give a smell, and at our gates are all manner of pleasant fruits, new and old, which I have laid up for thee, O my beloved. Song of Solomon. Chapter 8. O that thou wert as my brother, that sucked the breasts of my mother! When I should find thee without, I would kiss thee, yea, I should not be despised. I would lead thee, and bring thee into my mother's house, who would instruct me, I would cause thee to drink of spiced wine of the juice of my pomegranate. His left hand should be under my head, and his right hand should embrace me. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, that ye stir not up, nor awake my love, until he please. Who is this that cometh up from the wilderness, leaning upon her beloved? I raised thee up under the apple tree, there thy mother brought thee forth, there she brought thee forth that bare thee. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm, for love is strong as death, jealousy is cruel as the grave, the coals thereof are coals of fire, which hath a most vehement flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. If a man would give all the substance of his house for love, it would utterly be contemned. We have a little sister, and she hath no breasts. What shall we do for our sister in the day when she shall be spoken for? If she be a wall, we will build upon her a palace of silver, and if she be a door, we will enclose her with boards of cedar. I am a wall, and my breasts like towers, then was I in his eyes as one that found favor. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal-Hamon, he let out the vineyard unto keepers, every one for the fruit thereof was to bring 1,000 pieces of silver. My vineyard, which is mine, is before me, thou, O Solomon, must have 1,000, and those that keep the fruit thereof 200. Thou that dwellest in the gardens, the companions hearken to thy voice, cause me to hear it. Make haste, my beloved, and be thou like to a roe or to a young hart upon the mountains of spices.